Hey, it's Dave. So you're a type 2 diabetic. Maybe you just slipped or whatever, and you want to get right back on the horse and you're having a hard time. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do. So let's get right to it. All right, so hey, it's Davis. Welcome to the channel. By all means, if I sound a little weird, it's because I'm a little bit sick right now, a little under the weather. So yeah, I definitely do apologize for that. However, look, if it's your first time around, let me tell you right now that my heart is absolutely with you, and that you have every single thing that it takes to crush type 2 diabetes on your own terms, and don't ever let anyone take that from you. So let's just get right into the content, okay? So if you fell off the horse and you want to get back on, and like it feels really rough, right? Like trying to get back on, we're just like in that mental block where it's just like, oh gosh, I really don't want to do this, right? Here's how to fix all that in 4 simple steps. In fact, I'll give you 1 extra bonus step and make it 5, okay? So here we go. So first and foremost, we want to flip everything on its head, okay? No one will ever tell you this, but flip everything on its head. And here's what I mean, okay? So if we feel that way, typically it's a whole series of things that are going on that like lead us to that point that not only like let us to fall off, but then make it 10 times harder to get back on. So how do we get back on? First thing, number 1, is to bring the barrier down so low, okay? So low that it's almost impossible to get back on, okay? And here's what I mean by that, okay? If we drop really low expectations, and I'll show you right now by showing you tip number 2, is instead of looking at like the diet as a diet, okay, look at that list of foods as like Lego blocks, or look at them like colors, right? Like remember how we were kids and we would get like, like we go to a restaurant and like they give you like 3 crayons or whatever, and the reason why is because we could basically put together, just by layering those colors together, you could basically make almost any color known to man. Right, we see that with with printers as well, right? Like you pull back the back of a printer, and basically it's like 3 or 4 cartridges doing all the work, right? This is essentially the same thing. And so here's what I mean. For me personally, this all really kind of dawned on me when I was doing like super low carb and maybe even keto, and it basically stuck ever since. Okay, so here's the deal. I would basically look at like what are foods that I already love, okay, that have no problem stuffing my face, okay, like stuffing my face with, okay, that I'll eat anyway, okay, like if I was going to be on like some diet or not a diet, right? So for me personally, like let's say I'm like working with like something like beef, right? So if I step back and I look at like an ingredients list, and I'm like, oh, like my diet has beef, and like, all right, cool, what is that, right? That's everything from like, okay, that's a steak. That's a protein style burger, right? That means I could also go to the Mexican place and have like some tacos, just maybe not the, maybe not the tortillas or whatever. That's, obviously if I tell them no starch, no sugar, no whatever, that's also like Chinese stir fry. Like, oh, okay, cool. So for me personally, I typically go out and have like a pastrami cheeseburger. Okay, so if I wanted to, like by the time if I really wanted to like eat like double the meat or like double the patties or double the pastrami or double the cheese, like I can literally eat. By the time I lather that thing down with like pickles and mustard, I'm eating like I'm at the county fair. Okay, like I'm not doing some weird hokey dieting thing whatsoever. Okay, but at the same time, like you don't have to sell me hard on eating a pastrami cheeseburger, right? Number 1. Number 2, that gets us back on the horse, right? Number 2 is going to be, actually, this is going to sound super weird, but drop everything right now and go for a walk. Okay, simply go for a walk. Okay, and here's why. Number 1, if we go outside right now, especially if you're watching this on your phone, go outside. Go outside right now. Okay, like get outside, and here's why. Number 1, we want to get oxygen in the blood. Okay, get oxygen in the blood, and then go for a walk, and then get that blood pumping a little bit. Now, am I saying power walk or run or jog? No, not at all. Okay, like take it at your own pace. If you want to, high five, I'm with you. Okay, if not, you just want to cruise or chill or whatever, no worries, do that too. But as long as you go outside, pump some oxygen in the blood and let that blood hit the brain, let the endorphins go for a little bit. Watch how that mindset, that little step, that little change in the body changes, and then dude, just watch how you feel about, maybe not eating something as easy as a cheeseburger, right? Super simple, right? So not only that, it also helps you drive down the blood sugars. Really simple. I think that walking is probably one of the most underestimated exercise when it comes to type 2 diabetics. I can go on forever on that, but whatever. Okay, tip number 3. Okay, tip number 3 is to literally stop right then and there and address, okay, I'm sorry, tip number 4 rather, is to stop right then and there and address like what's making us feel that way. Like I'll be honest with you, every single time I did this, I would demoralize myself. I would like feel bad, and like my energy would come down, and like, I'd feel like, I just didn't want to do it. I'd beat myself up. I would totally beat myself up. Okay, so instead of beating myself up, or instead of trying to beat my head over against a rock and go through all these different mental and emotional things, I just kind of like stopped and said, hey, now that I have, especially if you have your endorphins up, right? Stop real quick and address the issue for what it is. That way, if we don't address it, let's be real with one another, this probably isn't your first picnic, right? So it's probably going to keep happening until we like get that monkey off our back. It's probably going to keep coming around. So get that thing off once and for all, whether it be, look, I had to look at different things, and I'll be super, super honest, and I'm not being, I'm not like a psychiatrist or anything like that. I'm not trying to get weird or anything like that. I'm going to be super honest. For me, I always had an emotional connection with food. Okay, always, 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 ever since I was a kid, like token fat kid, putting the fat jokes and all this other stuff. And so I had to hold on to it like a security blanket, okay, which is a huge reason why I say, with number one, bring the barrier down so low, okay, so low that number two, we can eat something that we would love anyway, whether we were dieting or not. Okay, that way, for example, like that whole pastrami thing, I'm stuffing my face like I'm at the county fair, like I'm not beating myself up whatsoever, okay, number one. Number two, a big part of it also is that, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, like if you're anything like me, like I didn't ask for this, you know what I mean? Like, and so it almost felt like a big part of my innocence was ripped from me. And regardless if I went from like diet to diet to diet, like saying, hey, I found the way or whatever, the truth of the matter is I was trying to like make myself fit that mold just to find out like after a while, like it didn't really fit the mold. They still wanted to be me, right? Probably the same way that you probably want to be you. Although we could probably celebrate all these different wins that we get from any diet in any way, right? Really, just more than anything, it becomes part of us, and we can just like move on and like grow with it, right? So that's obviously the number four, is to really just tackle that thing right where it's at, especially the best time to do it, obviously, is especially if you get like a quick walk-in. Even if you don't get a quick walk-in, just make sure on step number four that you're not going to beat yourself up, that you do the exact opposite. In fact, here are some bonus steps that I typically do. I will usually drink water, okay? I'll drink some water and I'll take a nap, okay? And here's why. Whenever we make changes to our body, okay, like whether it be like diet, exercise, or whatever, if I well hydrate, especially if I walk and well hydrate, bring that blood sugar down, which huge help, right? Like all by itself. But more than anything, even if I don't like quote unquote work out that day, or even if that's all really that I did, even if I didn't work out whatsoever, and all I did was have that day, and like maybe the next day I went for a walk, even if all I did was have water, okay, and take a nap, right? I'm basically prepping my body, okay, for the next day. All right. So, hey, look, if I slip and I fall off or whatever, whether you woke up in the morning, you're like, oh, I'm not going to do this again or whatever, not a big deal. My heart's absolutely with you. In the same breath, you're going to say, Davis, right? Especially when I was morbidly obese. Davis, you've got to, do this, all this other weird diety stuff. Or Davis, when you wake up, or today, just go ahead and have a pastrami cheeseburger, take a nap, and drink some water, right? Like, how can I not do that? Like, how can I say no to that? Like, how hard is that? Like, anybody can do that, right? And so, yeah, that's basically it. Now, number five, the bonus one, okay? So the bonus one is going to be, honestly, a lot of folks might not want to hear this, but if I can give this to you now, this is something that I wish somebody would have told me a long time ago, okay? And that is, if your diet makes you feel that way, you might want to try something different. You might want to give yourself new opportunities, new ways to test things, and maybe just open up your mind and your heart and what you're willing to test and apply the same way that you might view the diet that you're on right now, for more and more options. And what I mean by that is that once we understand that maybe, hey, for a lot of us, A, maybe we didn't ask for this. B, is it possible that a lot of us can get tired of eating the same way forever? Yeah. Is it possible that, for a lot of us, that eating the same way forever can cause us to relapse and maybe even turn our back on the very thing that we need, that not only can empower us, but if we're being honest, our health, which we need to survive, can that cause people to not only relapse so hard, but turn their back on it? Of course, right? And not only that, when we come to the realization that relapse for a lot of us, or that sort of relapse, sure, some people might come back. However, not everybody does. And we look at those odds, we probably don't want to bet our lives on them, right? Let alone our life savings, which, anybody will tell you, you can get money back, but you probably won't get your life back, right? And the reason why I say that is because that level of honesty and clarity is something that I absolutely wish somebody would have given me every single time I beat myself up because, man, those four things right now, obviously you now see just how easy and how powerful that is. At the same time, number 5 cracks that thing out of the park because it's kind of like, hey, I don't ever have to go through that again, like ever again. Like it's just a real simple decision, right? But hey, I absolutely hope that serves you well. Look, let me tell you something right now. The awesome part about this is that I'm actually doing this. So I'm recording this right now in January. We just had Christmas and New Year's. And yeah, I'm a normal human being. I ate kind of sideways. My blood sugar was up. I'm actually in the middle right now of doing a blood sugar challenge where I'm sharing with people how I'm able to drive my blood sugars down 100% drug-free. And I like to give it to you for free, for absolutely free. Inside of it, you're going to see how I went from like morbidly obese to really like even losing my first 75 pounds without any drugs, exercise, or any hardcore dieting. Really like how I was able to free myself from dieting how I was able to really kind of like, turn my life around and really like grab a hold of my health in ways that were like far easier and like doing way less work than you probably see a lot of other people doing out there with these crazy diet and exercise regimens. Well, anyways, if that helps you, by all means, I'd love to give it to you for free. You can get it by clicking on the link below.
I was just about to hit publish or whatever on this video, and I just figured I'd maybe just kind of show you one of the downloads that you're going to be getting. So inside of it, I literally break down a lot of different things that a lot of us don't see and or even hear when it comes to like food, right? So for perfect example, like we cover everything from like paleo, Whole30, here's Mediterranean, right? A highlighter trick that helped me like really kind of shortcut a lot of this stuff. Obviously you see keto there. We've got, vegan. And then I really kind of get into like a lot of the similarities that we're going to see in a lot of these different foods. And when it comes to, obviously looking at blood, what different doctors are looking at when it comes to, the different foods that they eat. At the same time, when it comes to everything from like, lowering bad cholesterol, lowering our blood sugar, foods that fight inflammation, foods that fight cancer, a lot of these really, really simple similarities without a lot of hard work. I even get into looking at everything from like, looking at and tracking macros and looking at ketones versus actually just looking at our blood sugar. I cut all kinds of things and really kind of share things we never really see. Things also like this, I actually cover different diets and how different diets actually blew up in my face. That way it doesn't have to necessarily happen to you, right? At the same time, I even cover things like how I was actually able to lose like more body fat with the right types of carbs at the right kind of time. So anyways, if any of this seems really cool or helpful to you, yeah, check it out.
And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Later.